Climate change affects me the most in a personal manner. My family and I are pretty outdoorsy people. Each season we are involved in some sports, and I can see a big change in those sports, and I can see it impacting like the further or the future of our enjoyment in those sports. But I do feel like the footprint we leave on Earth is also impacting our children and their children. So it's something that everyone can get on board with. When I think of climate change, what comes to mind is the ice ages. I know that sounds really strange, but I just think about the extreme changes in temperatures. And I mean, that's not just like the ice ages, but like whenever the world heated up, I think about those extreme things that have happened over thousands and millions of years.
Warmer temperatures lead to more precipitation, larger storms, and more variation in precipitation in some areas. So in general, a warmer climate is going to cause more of this precipitation to fall in the form of rain instead of snow. So warmer temperatures, warmer climate is going to be more rain, but if it gets colder and the climate is colder, then it would be more snow. So it greatly affects the amount of snowfall for a year.
Climate change impacts skiing and snowboarding in our ski club here at school pretty big, in my opinion. We've been a club, we've had the club for like on and off for many years, but the last 5 years, I've seen an impact in the amount of snow that we're getting. So kids, a lot of kids are ignorant to it. They don't know what good snow looks like when you're skiing on it. So they're happy with it, but it's really, until this year, we got a really great snow this year. Until this year, skiing has been pretty mediocre. We are in the Midwest, so that does make a difference. But even in West Virginia or New York, they've been seeing some issues. Colorado as well. Maybe not as bad, but it seems like something that's a dying thing for us here. I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid we're dying out for the Midwest.
The recent snowfall this season greatly affected Perfect North. That combined with people wanting to get outside due to COVID and the lack of other options for activities because of COVID has made this the busiest season Perfect North has seen in their 41 years of operations. Weekends following a weekday snowfall have been extremely busy and definitely the busiest days of the season and in the history of Perfect North.
We just ended our current season, and we had 2 weeks in February where we got, I don't know what the total snowfall was, and this was in Lawrenceburg, Indiana that we were skiing, but say it was like around 10 inches, and it was within 2 weeks. That is the snow that I had growing up. When I was in my high school ski club, the whole resort was covered with snow, and I feel like this was the first year my Little Miami kids had ever seen it that good in the last 5 years.
Average snowfall in Lawrenceburg, Indiana is 17 inches, but I don't think they've had that much snowfall in a really, really long time. This winter, they did get more than they have in the past few years, but I think it was still under the 17-inch average. While this year was an exception, it does seem like in the past few years, we haven't had as much snow as we did further into the pass and in the Indiana area. A lot of the potential snowfall has been changing to rain. It seems like more and more often every year.
And as far as like the ski club and the ski season, we go back and forth. A lot of kids are like, so our first 4 trips will be the first 4 weeks, and it's always, we play it by ear because we don't know how the weather will be. We've had weeks where it's great, and then the next week it's 50 and rainy, and that's in the middle of January. My biggest concern for the last few years is that it's just going to continue to be less and less snow. I am afraid that like Ohio or Cincinnati will say Cincinnati's weather will start to look more like Tennessee at this time of the year, just like a little bit less and less. There's already been less, and like when I was a kid, I told you guys when I was a kid skiing was way better. Even just playing in the snow was way better. I feel like for my son, if we get snow, we go out and play that day and then it's melted the next day, whereas it used to stay for a while.
We've been able to stay open for our normal winter season length, which is about 3 months ago. And it's hard to tell how much climate affects the length of the season because as the years go on, it does seem like we're trending towards warmer winters, but the snowmaking capabilities are also improving. So because of the snowmaking, we've been able to stay open for our typical winter length. I really wish we could recycle at Timberline, but right now we don't have recycling at all in our entire county. We've locally signed a few petitions to hopefully get recycling here in the future, and I'm hopeful that this will be a change that we see in the local area. But right now, Tucker County, even though it is a very green area, we don't have recycling at all. You have to drive about 45 minutes to an hour to recycle. We do try to reuse a lot of our supplies and refurbish equipment at Timberline rather than purchasing everything new, just to reduce our personal waste. And now that we have 2 ski areas, we're able to share supplies back and forth between Timberline and Perfect North, which is pretty helpful.
It is harder to find good consistent snow, but you can go to different areas where they're like higher in elevation, so they're more likely to get it. I would be curious to see how consistent it stays. I think in higher elevation, it's almost always there between January and February, but I'm sure that their seasons are shorter. Like our season is January and February, but many other places it's December through April, and it's not. I don't think it's as long for them either. But the resorts are. I mean, I think we're really blessed to have something here in Ohio in the Midwest that we can, take a 45-minute drive and go and ski.
Weather is probably the biggest factor that affects the number of customers we see each day. Recent days after snowfall and sunny days that are not too cold but not too warm are always the busiest days of the season. We're typically really slow on rainy days or days when it is then in the negative or above 50 degrees. So weather is probably the biggest factor to affect our attendance.
So we can help with climate change. I feel like we can help with it a lot, and my husband and I have made a lot of changes and sacrifices in the last few years, but changing out like your everyday habits are a big help. So using reusable bags, like for your groceries, for your produce, for your snacks, reusing like reusable plastic that you can wash. There are changes in a lot of companies that have made like awesome changes to recycling or using like less waste, less gas, or less chemical gas, that type of stuff on the planet. So I think that there are people that are making those changes, but I think there could be a lot more of that happening.
I think the biggest thing we as individuals can do to help change the direction of our climate and to kind of help the earth be healthy is to vote for people that care about the earth and for people that are aware of what's going on with the environment. I think it's important for everyone to recycle their personal things in their house. And I think it's just important to kind of be an ambassador of the earth and share what you know to people that might not know those same things around you. And also to just educate yourself as best you can as to how you can really help out the world be a cleaner, more green place. So if you go out in national parks or state parks, just kind of do some research on Leave No Trace and make sure you're really taking care of the earth.